It costs $9.99, not $10. $9.99. And something in you relaxes. It sounds like 9 something. It sounds like you are still safely in the single digits, in the land of small money. So you drop it in the cart. And then you do it again with the thing that is $19.99, which is basically 20, but does not feel like 20. And again with the little subscription that is only $4.99 a month, which is basically $60 a year, but nobody said that part out loud. And at the end of the month, you look at your bank statement, and there is that feeling again, the one we talked about last time. Where did it all go? It went 1 penny under a round number at a time. Here is what I need you to know before we go one sentence further. You are not bad at math. You did not fail some arithmetic test at the register. Your brain was handed a number that was engineered, precisely, down to that final little 9, to be misread. And you read it exactly the way you were designed to. And I want to explain it to you the way I wish someone had explained it to me back in my training, not as shopping advice, but as what is physically happening inside your brain and your body the moment that price reaches for you. Because once you understand the biology, the spell starts to lose its grip. Today I am going to show you the oldest, cheapest, most powerful trick in all of pricing, the one hiding in almost every price tag you will ever see. And I am going to hand you a 1-second habit that switches it off for the rest of your life. Welcome back. Let's take the number apart. If you saw the last episode, you know the store itself is a machine built to disarm you. Well, if the layout is the trap, the prices are the ammunition. And this particular piece of ammunition has a name. Economists call it the left digit effect. Marketers call it charm pricing. And it works because of a quiet quirk in how your brain actually reads a number. You would think we read a price all at once, as a whole quantity. We do not. Your brain reads left to right, and it is impatient, and it is lazy in the most efficient way possible. It grabs the very first digit, the leftmost one, uses it to decide roughly how much this thing costs, and then it basically stops paying attention. So when it sees $9.99, it seizes on that 9, files the whole thing under $9, cheap, and moves on before the 99 cents ever registers. That single penny, the gap between 99 cents and 1 more cent, is not really about the money. It is about which digit sits on the far left. $9.99 keeps the 9 in charge. $10 promotes a 1, and suddenly your brain files it under 10, a whole different tier. This is not a hunch. 2 researchers, Manoj Thomas and Vicky Morwitz, published a well-known paper in the Journal of Consumer Research with the wonderful title Penny Wise and Pound Foolish, showing exactly this left-digit anchoring. They found that people judged a price like $2.99 to be meaningfully smaller than $3, far more than that single cent should ever justify. The drop from a 3 to a 2 on the left end of the number did something a single penny never should. It shrank the price in your mind. Now here is where it goes from clever to almost unbelievable. It turns out the number 9 does not just help you misread a price. The 9 has become a signal all on its own. A little flag your brain has been trained, over a lifetime of shopping, to read as this is a deal. There is a famous experiment I love, run by 2 professors, Eric Anderson and Duncan Symester. They worked with a real mail-order clothing company, and they took the exact same women's dress and printed it in different catalogs at different prices. One version was priced at $34, another at $39. And here is the part that should stop you in your tracks. The dress priced at $39 sold better than the very same dress priced at $34. People bought more of it when it cost $5 more. Not because it was cheaper, it was not, but because that ending in 9 screamed sale, and the 34, an ordinary, unrounded, uncharmed number, whispered nothing at all. The 9 was not describing a discount. The 9 was pretending to be one. A higher price outsold a lower price, purely because of the shape of the last digit. Your brain has been conditioned, like a bell ringing, to see a price ending in 9 and feel, without any evidence, that someone is doing you a favor. So where did this all begin? Why does almost every price on Earth end in 9 or 99? The honest answer is that nobody sat down and invented it as psychology. Like the Gruen effect from last time, it started as an accident, a solution to a completely different problem. And the story is fantastic. Roll back to the late 1800s, to the birth of the modern cash register. There was a saloon owner named James Ritty who, legend has it, was losing money because his bartenders kept quietly pocketing cash instead of recording sales. So he invented a machine, the cash register, that rang a bell and logged the sale every time the drawer opened. Now follow the logic. If something cost around $5 and the customer paid with a 5, a dishonest clerk could just pocket the bill and never open the drawer at all. No bell, no record. But price it at $4.99, and the clerk is forced to open that drawer to make a penny of change. The bell rings, the sale is logged, the theft becomes almost impossible. So prices were nudged just under the round number, not to trick the customer, but to police the employee. The 9 ending began as an anti-theft device. And then retailers noticed these odd, just under prices were also selling better. They felt like bargains, and a security trick quietly became the most widespread pricing tactic in history. Every 99 you see today is the ghost of a bartender who was trying not to get robbed. Now, why does that missing penny fool us so completely, when we are clearly smart enough to know that $9.99 is basically $10? The answer lives in a principle older than marketing itself, something scientists call the just noticeable difference, tied to a rule known as Weber's law. In plain language, your brain does not judge amounts in absolute terms. It judges them in proportions, in relative terms. The difference between $1 and $2 feels enormous. It is a doubling. But the difference between $100 and $101 feels like nothing, even though it is the exact same single dollar. Your mind measures the change against the size of the thing. That is why charm pricing is deadliest on small, everyday items, the coffees and snacks and little subscriptions, where shaving $2 to $1.99 flips the leftward digit from a 2 to a 1. On huge numbers, the penny is invisible, so they play the same game one tier up. The car is $19,995, not $20,000. The house is $499, meaning $499,000. So your brain files it under 400s instead of 500s. Same trick, bigger stage, and the leftward digit is still doing all the lying. And once you start looking, you will see that the number itself is only the beginning. There is an entire theater of tricks built around how a price is dressed. Let me show you a few, because these are the ones hiding in plain sight. Take the humble restaurant menu. There is research out of Cornell University, from the hospitality school, looking at how people order. In one study, when the menu listed prices with a dollar sign, people spent less than when the price was written as a bare number, just the digits, no sign at all. Why? Because the dollar sign is a tiny, silent reminder that you are spending money, that this is real currency leaving your account. Strip the sign away, write it as a clean 24, and the pain of paying softens. The number stops looking like money and starts looking like a label. That is why the fanciest restaurants often give you a menu with no dollar signs, no trailing zeros. Sometimes the price is spelled out in words, and no little dotted line leading your eye to the cost. They are not being elegant. They are anesthetizing you. And here is one you have felt 1,000 times without naming it. The framing of the number over time. A gym, or an app, or a streaming service will almost never lead with $120 a year. They will say just pennies a day, or only $10 a month, or less than a cup of coffee. They take the real number, the yearly one, the one that would make you flinch, and they slice it into a portion so small it slips right past your defenses. $10 a month sounds like nothing. $120, sitting on your statement all at once, is a decision you might actually stop and question. Same money, completely different feeling, engineered by division. Now, I want to show you the flip side of all this, because it reveals the game so clearly. If ending a price in 9 screams cheap and deal, what do you think a round, clean, whole number says? Think about a luxury watch, or a designer bag, or a high-end consultant. The price is not $2,999. It is a flat, confident $2,000. This is called prestige pricing, and it is the exact opposite move, done on purpose. A round number signals quality, confidence, and calm. It says, we are not haggling with you. We are not running a sale. This is simply what it costs. So the very same shape that we read as bargain in the discount aisle, the 9, is deliberately banished from the luxury boutique, because there it would cheapen the product. The shape of the price is a message. 9 endings say steal. Round numbers say worth it. And they choose, deliberately, which feeling they want to plant in you. Now I have to take you one layer deeper than psychology, down into the actual tissue of the brain, because this is where being a doctor changes how you will see every price for the rest of your life. It is not just about how the number looks. It is about a quiet war happening inside your skull, and we can now watch it on a brain scan. In 2007, a team led by the Stanford neuroscientist Brian Knudsen published a study in the journal Neuron that still gives me chills. They put people inside an fMRI scanner, a machine that watches the living brain work in real time, and they let them shop, showing a product, then its price, then asking, buy or not. And they found they could predict what a person would choose from the brain activity alone, several seconds before the person consciously decided. 3 regions were quietly making the call for you. First, when you see something you want, a deep structure called the nucleus accumbens lights up. That is a core of your reward system, running on dopamine, and it is not politely saying, that is nice. It is shouting, I want that. Then the price appears, and if that price feels too high, a different region fires, the insula, the very same area that activates during physical pain and even disgust. Your brain, quite literally, can process an overpriced tag a little like a small injury or a bad smell. And sitting in between them is the prefrontal cortex, the rational accountant, trying to weigh the wanting against the hurting. Here is why that matters so much. Every pricing trick in this whole video is aimed at exactly those 3 regions. Charm pricing, that $9.99, quiets the insula. It turns down the pain signal, so the price hurts less than it truly should. And there is a deeper twist in the dopamine system that I need you to hear, because it is genuinely freeing. The neuroscientist Kent Berridge spent decades proving that in the brain, wanting and liking are 2 entirely separate systems. Dopamine does not actually deliver pleasure. It delivers wanting, the craving, the itch, the reach toward. Which means you can be engineered to want something intensely that you will barely enjoy once you own it. That gap you have felt, the excitement in the store and the emptiness at home, that is not a character flaw. That is 2 different circuits. And marketers have learned to light up the first one and quietly ignore the second. And so an enormous amount of pricing exists to do one thing. Crank up that accumbens, mute that insula, so the wanting roars while the pain goes silent, until the money is already long gone. The single most powerful painkiller they have is this: separating the moment you choose from the moment you actually feel the money leave. It is called decoupling, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it anywhere. Think about why it feels so much easier to spend with a card than with cash. When you hand over physical bills, you watch them leave your hand. You feel the wallet get thinner. The pain fires in real time. A card feels like almost nothing. There is a well-known study by Dražen Prelec and Duncan Simister at MIT, sometimes titled "Always Leave Home Without It," where they had people bid on tickets to a sold-out game. The people paying by credit card were willing to spend up to twice as much as the people paying with cash. Twice as much for the identical item, purely because the plastic muffled the pain. And they have gone so much further than cards. Think about the in-app currencies. You do not spend $5 anymore. You buy a pile of gems or coins or some invented token with real money once, and then later you spend the gems. By the time you are trading 200 gems for a costume in a game, your brain has completely lost the thread back to real dollars. The system has quietly laundered your money into points, and points do not hurt to spend. Gift cards, one-click checkout with the card already saved, tap to pay, subscriptions that renew silently in the dark. Every one of these is engineered to widen the gap between the decision and the pain, so that the pain never quite arrives in time to stop you. Then there is a trick that works on the opposite end, on quantity. Have you ever seen a sign that says "Limit 12 per customer"? It sounds like the store protecting its stock from hoarders. It is doing the exact reverse. There is a classic study by Brian Wansink and his colleagues, run in real supermarkets, on cans of soup. When the sign simply listed the sale price, shoppers bought a few cans each. When the sign added the words "Limit 12 per person," people bought, on average, nearly twice as many. The number 12 limited nothing. It dropped an anchor. Your brain saw 12, quietly decided the normal amount must be somewhere up near there, and reached for more. The same thing happens with 5 for $5. You did not need 5. You needed 1. But the number 5 became the suggestion, and now 1 feels somehow wrong. Do you see the pattern underneath all of these now? Every single one is aimed at the same tiny target, the half-second of feeling you have about a number before you have actually thought about it. The 9 that says cheap. The missing dollar sign that says not really money. The monthly slice that says tiny. The gems that say not dollars at all. The anchor that says reach for more. Not one of them changes what leaves your account by a single penny. They only change how it feels on the way out, how loudly the accumbens shouts, and how softly the insula complains. Which means the entire billion-dollar architecture of pricing is balanced on one small, completely correctable weakness, that we let ourselves feel about a price before we let ourselves see it. So take a breath, because now we arrive at your part, the part where you take the number back. And I promise you, the defense here is almost absurdly simple. Simpler than last time, even. Because you do not have to outmath a corporation. You just have to refuse the one shortcut your brain wants to take. Here is your defense. When you see a price, round it up, out loud if you can, before you decide. $9.99 is $10. $19.99 is $20. $4.99 a month is $60 a year. So ask yourself if you would hand someone $60 right now for this. That is the whole move. You are simply promoting the number to the tier it actually belongs to, dragging that lazy left digit up to where the truth lies, before you let yourself feel anything about it. Because the trick, remember, happens in the half second before you think. Your brain grabs the 9 and files it as cheap faster than your reason can catch up. So you do not fight it with more willpower in the moment. You install a tiny rule that runs first. See a price, round it up, then feel. Round it up, then decide. When you force $9.99 to become $10 in your mouth, the spell just breaks. The 9 loses its magic. You are no longer reacting to the shape of the digit. You are looking at the actual size of the money. And you would be amazed how many little, only $9.99 purchases quietly die the instant you make them say their real name. And for the subscriptions especially, always multiply it out to the year. That small monthly price is the single most profitable sentence in modern business because it hides the annual number you would never agree to in one go. Say the yearly total out loud, then decide if it is worth it. Half of them will not survive that one sentence. And here is the second half of the defense, and it is just as small. Watch how it feels to pay. If a purchase does not feel like money, if it is gems or points or a card you saved so it is one painless tap away, that weightless feeling is not a convenience they kindly gave you. It is the anesthesia. So on the ones that matter, make it hurt a little on purpose. Pay with a card you actually look at, or picture yourself counting out the cash onto the counter. And when a sign hands you a number, a limit 12, a 5 for 5, treat that number as the enemy's suggestion, never your plan. You decide the amount before you walk up. 1, if 1 is what you came for. So the next time you are standing in an aisle or scrolling a checkout page, and you see that friendly little $9.99 reaching for your hand, I want you to smile and round it up and see it for exactly what it is. A $10 decision, wearing a $9 costume, sewn together over 100 years ago by a bartender who was just trying not to get robbed. You get to see the whole number now, and a number you can see clearly has almost no power over you at all. Before you go, tell me one thing in the comments, because I read them and they genuinely make my day. What is the last thing you bought or subscribed to purely because it was only something 99? One word or one number, drop it below. The $4.99 app, the $19.99 gadget, the less than a coffee a day thing you forgot you were paying for. Put it down there, and then scroll and read a few others, and watch how many of us fell for the exact same little 9. And here is where it goes next, because we are just getting started. Now you can round up a single price. But what happens when they put 3 prices side by side, and one of them makes no sense at all, an option so strangely overpriced that no sane person would ever choose it? That useless option is not a mistake. It is a trap called the decoy, and it is quietly steering you toward the exact choice they wanted you to make all along. Next episode, I will show you the most elegant manipulation in all of pricing and how to spot the decoy in 3 seconds flat. Subscribe so you do not miss it. And until then, do me a favor. Round it up. Stay awake.